Is it possible that as we're going through and we're tapping out our negative memories or the ones that are our biggest triggers for us, that it will release those attachments to the point where then the positive memories that are so buried may start coming out?
It makes it easier, for sure.
Okay.
And it's really important. Whatever you have handy, it's easier to grab.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're releasing the bad ones that are easy to grab and you get rid of those, and again, happiness is a skill. So what we want to do with the happy journal is practice it.
Mm-hmm.
And we also want to release what you don't want. And that's what I basically covered last week, release and affirm. Release the emotional don't wants. Because, now, unfortunately, and this is really true, the reason why you attended this seminar basically is because there's something you don't want. Isn't that true? You want to avoid something. There's something that hurts you. There's something that bothers you. People will call and come to see me because there's something inside them that hurts. And they may say, well, I want this, but they're really saying I don't want this. So what we want to do is release everything we don't want, focus on what we do want, practice it, manifest it, and get it. Make sense? So it's very important. Yeah, that's true. The deal is you want to lighten your emotional load, first and foremost. Secondly, you want to focus on what you want. These are some of the major reasons why you can't lose weight. First of all, I eat out of boredom. I have no willpower. Do you remember me covering willpower last week? What's the difference in willpower and imagination? Which is stronger? You remember that? Remember, what is the imagination? Imagination are the memories stored within you. And so if you have all these emotional memories stored that I love food, eat, the guilt eating, eat because I love you, eat because I want love, I have to clean my plate, I can't throw food away, eat because you want to be accepted. Now those are emotional imagination. Now those emotions are more powerful than willpower. How many of you said, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to use my willpower and I'm not going to do this. And the closer you're getting closer to whatever it is, you end up doing it. And it's because your imagination is more powerful than your willpower. What the memories and the emotions stored inside will always override your willpower. Now some people may be strong enough and may have enough emotional backing of why you want to do something. If you build enough emotional backing that I'm not going to do it, that's, again, you're using the imagination to build not to do it. Make sense? Okay. So what we want to do today is we want to address these emotional drivers, and I know all of you want to volunteer, but I can only do about 5 or 6, okay? That's like an advertisement, isn't it? All right. Eat out of boredom. I have no willpower. Too many social gatherings. That's why I gain weight. Eat out and would have to cook or cook too well. They cook too well and too poorly. Fear. You eat because of fear. You sabotaging yourself. You have cravings. That's why you can't lose weight. I love food and I love to eat. Granted, if you have these programs, it's going to be hard to lose weight, isn't it? Bad eating habits. I give up. It won't work for me. That's a positive attitude. Too much work. It is too much work. Especially, this is very common. Dieting, the success rate of dieting is about 5%, plus or minus 4. And the ones that it works for, they're usually obsessive compulsive. With exercise or dieting. But the dieting syndrome is basically saying, let's think about it. If you're getting your love fix out of cookies, and the diet says you can't have cookies, if your love fix is trying to be accepted, and this new diet says you can't have it, so you're going to go on this diet and you're going to stay on it, it's going to be really good, except inside you have emotional attachments to the food. The moment you even start to wane off of that diet, or the emotional charge will pull you off of the diet because you have all these emotions outside you in this stuff. And the next thing you know, you're going to be pulled to eat that food, and then you say, what the hell, I screwed up anyway, might as well go whole hog. Isn't that right? Diets successfully add weight to people. It's the number one way to gain weight. They even took this group of women and men who are anorexic. They tried everything to try to add weight to them, so they put them on a diet. Guess what? They gain weight. Guys, that's the reason why I said at the beginning, guys, all food are legal. All food, unless you know it's bad for you. unless you know that eating fast food is really not good for you, love yourself enough to say, hey, I'm not going to do this. If you realize and you know that donuts are too greasy and oversweet, and it doesn't do, now granted, if you have a love fix in it, I suggest tapping that love fix out, and you realize logically you know that it's really more harmful than good, then you just let it go. We're not taking anything from you. We want to give you more, and that's more emotional diversity, more choices. Because the person who has to eat chocolate anytime chocolate's around, and they stand around like a vulture hoping to get more pieces, they're controlled. They have no power. It controlled them. They became a slave to the food. Now, guys, why did I want you? Guys, if you hadn't conquered this, throwing the food away, you do it until you do it every meal, and I don't want you to throw it away and grudgingly do it. I want you to tap out the emotions associated to it. Because if you grudgingly do it, or if you're mad at Robert for telling you to do it, it's only going to hurt you, not me. Unless you say bad things about me. But then, of course, they generate within you, and you can keep those. But this is the point. Conquer it. If it takes you 6 months to do it, do it. You're the one who knows when you've overcome that. And you'll really know because you'll be able to let go of the food and say it's just food. That's what you want. And who is it that's going to really be benefit from it? Who's going to be gifted? And that's yourself. This is where your power is. Because you don't want it to control you. And if you allow it to control you, you're in the lower model. You want your power. All right? And then what we want to do is, it's too much work to lose weight, and it is doing it the old way. Now, how many of you notice that since you started taking the seminar, you've lost weight and you hadn't tried? It's just happening naturally. Because first of all, we're changing the emotional attachments to food. We're changing the meaning of food. And that's what we want. And I'm too lazy or too busy. Fast food's easier and quicker. I have a poor schedule, always rewarding myself. Again, rewarding myself is what? I'm a good girl. Good girls, if you do something good, I'm going to give you a treat. Time restrictions. So, does that sound like something you want to tap on? Honestly, what do you think about this? What's your honest opinion? Is this crazy? Some of, like Chris, you're new to this. Is this crazy?
Well, yes and no. It sounds crazy because, like I said last week, it's hard to imagine that something that simple can affect you so internally and externally. But then everything you're saying is logical. Mm-hmm. So, it's like I'm kind of really confused inside, and I'm very analytical. So I want to know, why this is working or why it's going to work or exactly how it's going to work. So it's very confusing.
I understand. Why does electricity work?
I don't know.
But do you use it?
I use it every day.
Like
using it right now.
If you're in the dark, is it nice to know where the switch is?
Very much so.
So I know why it works, and I've even kind of explained why it works, but it's almost like it's so simple in how it works. Why does it work?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have had resistance. I guess, they say be careful what you ask for. And, all my life I've been looking for ways to help work through what these emotional attachments were, and have done a lot of self-help stuff over many years. And it was like walking in here and whatever's kind of like, okay, it can't be that easy. And it's like, do I really want to do it? Mm-hmm. Do I really finally want to work through all this? So that's more of the food is not even an issue now. It's like everything else. And what I find is memories that keep coming up over and over until I finally tap on them and let them go. And one night, I was so sick last week with the flu, but there was this one night where all these memories were coming up, and I couldn't even go to sleep or go to bed until I just tapped on them all to release them all, and finally I could go to sleep. But that's what I'm finding is happening, is these whole blocks of memories are coming up.
And you have the ability to let them go now.
Right.
Good.
So that's why I asked the question earlier, as you're letting go of some of the stuff that have been so-called problems or resistance, does that then, the cloud kind of clear to allow some of the more positive memories that are there to surface?
Absolutely. What you hold in mind, you track of the same kind. So what you're doing is you're getting rid of what? The bad ones.
Right.
And so the bad ones fade away, and all of a sudden you'll have more good ones than bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that? So that's very powerful. So at first, you just too easy.
Well, too easy, and then I'm also, okay, I want to know exactly how to do it, show me the method, whatever. I'm afraid of making a mistake, all of that perfectionism stuff. So,
You let go of that one,
so
right?
we're letting go of that one.
All right. All right. I have